Cascadia Sustainability Field School gets students out of the classroom and into the world. We take a group of students from here down the coast through Vancouver and cities of Oregon and Washington, and we end up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And along the way we meet with planners and community groups, First Nations, scholars, and others that are grappling with social justice and ecological issues in our region. We go by boat, by train, by bus, by bicycle, staying in hostel type accommodations and really bonding along the way. Students complete field notebooks of their experiences. We get together in sharing circles to reflect on the learning that's taken place. In the end, the students write an exam that shares what they've learned en route about this incredibly popular but elusive term, sustainability. And we have a big gala dinner at the end, and lots of friendships are made, lots of tears on that last night, and what I think is a fantastic learning opportunity for these students.
I think the tone for this field school that we wanted to set was both critical and hopeful for the students. We wanted the students to appreciate the enormity of the issues surrounding sustainability, but we also wanted the students to see real life, on the ground examples from communities that we visited, such as eco-villages, green buildings, food security, and food justice initiatives.
You're just thrown into everything and you're just experiencing everything, so you're just, even if you don't make the connections on the spot, you're gonna make them at some point in your life just because you have that experience you can always go back to.
I can honestly say that I was thinking more every single day than I would have if I was just in a regular set of classes.
It's a really great way to see, like, on the ground how the theories or concepts you learn about is actually applied, and instead of talking about potential problems, you actually see where they come up and it makes sense, and it's just more relevant to real life.
The experience and the continuous learning that you do when you're on a field school, you really are immersed in that, and you can't get away from it. You have to talk about it, and you have to hear what other people have to say about it, and it's constantly on your mind when you're with other people who are thinking about the same thing.
I felt like I learned more in that field school than an entire year of university in some respects.
I felt I was a drone before sitting in class. Kind of, yes, he wants me to learn this, I will know this now. And now I sit there and I think a bit more critically.
I think it's really hard when you're reading a textbook to be like, to really engage with the content, but when you're hearing like these stories, and like we really talked about that, the importance of story, it becomes real, and you wanna learn about it, and you remember things way more.
Sometimes in my classes I'm just thinking, I gotta pass this test, I gotta get through this midterm, I gotta just pump out this paper. But in field school it's like, I really do want to learn, and I want to figure out what the issues are, and I want to talk to people about it and figure out ways to make things better.
Or kind of critically thinking, as opposed to just sitting in a lecture where you're just kind of cramming in what the teacher is saying, as opposed to kind of stopping and asking yourself what ideas are presented.
It's kind of like this living, like moving experience that you have to be part of for 1 month.
It turned out to be a lot more giving us tools to think about it, and giving us different perspectives, and kind of letting us choose what we believe from our own point of view. And I feel like that is really kind of what university is about.
Something I found really valuable was getting to be that close with people and make some awesome friends, and people that will probably be in my life forever. And I've gone through 4 years of university so far, and this is the first time I've made good friends from school. And I think it's kind of too bad that I haven't been able to make those great connections, but I don't think the university is set up really for you to make those interactive relationships with your classmates in school.
And it was awesome being with all those people all the time, and learning so much from them as well as learning in the field school. I think I would say most of my learning came from sharing circles and hearing what other people had to say in relation to what I took from it.
I had a lot to share with other people from that field school, and I think a lot of it was just being in those places with a group of people who wanted to learn about sustainability. Whether we talked to the speakers or not, we all were there to like explore and find out more.
I mean, I love the field school, the whole like journey of it. It's like, you know, it ended up being kind of an adventure with 20 cool new people, new friends. We just became a tighter knit group. We were able to talk with each other, bounce ideas off each other, and just enjoy the experience.
And you're with the same people and you're getting to know each other on an academic level as well as such a personal level.
Well, I made some of the best friends of my life on this trip. I really did.
One of the reasons I really liked being in the group that I was in was there were definitely people that I had differing opinions about issues, and I think that speaks to the multi-perspective learning environment. But even within our own group, there are different perspectives, and sometimes I have a bit of internal struggle being like, oh my god, how can you think that way? But then I realize that's okay. That's sort of like that internal balance of being okay with other opinions and not feeling like there's one right answer.
I get us to learn to ask questions and to think critically, which is definitely was effective, and was to take a step back when you're listening to things and think in, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, like spiritually almost, to be thinking about what you're hearing, not just the facts and the academic side behind it.
I questioned sustainability more than I did before I started. I was kind of like, what is it really? And like, is it more than just a buzzword? Like, why is whatever this thing is, why is it sustainable or why is it not?
What are the things that fundamentally need to be changed? The most effective changes?
What is truly sustainable and what are the real goals behind a particular project?
How can we change people's perspectives on the actions that they do every day, their everyday choices? It's almost a psychological thing. You know, how do we change something that's been so ingrained in people for so long?
I think who is this adversely affecting? Because it seems almost like with every single project, no matter how it's framed, it doesn't have to be new urbanism and some giant development. That's, you know, sometimes it's less obvious who you're displacing or who's being adversely affected by changes.
You just have to be open to multi-perspectives as well as critically think, but then turning that critical knowledge into practical knowledge.
You know, if I was interested in things that were sustainable before, the questions that I'm asking about to what extent they are sustainable, to what extent they're greenwashing, to what extent they are something that you can implement practically, or to what extent are they valuable just as a theory, those are all questions that I think are a little bit more honed now than before I went to field school.
I really appreciated that. It was nice to make those connections with all those amazing activists and progressive thinkers and project doers and eco-village makers and building designers and planners and everything. It was neat to see the variation from one city to the next of how they grapple with this idea of sustainability.
They really know what they're doing, they love what they're doing, they're passionate about it, and they're working in the community with people that are involved in these projects. And I think it makes it that much more almost emotional for you to be a part of that and to understand it and know where they're coming from and know what they're doing and what they're working on.
We learn so much about all these things in the world and climate change and sustainability, and seeing that in the classroom is totally different from seeing it in real life. And to me, the bullet building was a real concrete example of how things can be done and how they can be done successfully.
Matt Hearn was definitely fundamental in that experience for me because he kind of kickstarted a lot of the unlearning that would go on for me for the rest of the field school in terms of consumerism, in terms of just like kind of life goals and all that.
He implements these things that are good for everyone and not just for himself. It's not just about what he feels is best for him and maybe his family, but it's good for everyone in the community. And developing that community and doing it in ways that are really positive and really inspiring for everyone, and that just transfers and continues on through other people, and that's really fantastic, I think.
Standing in the middle of Sunnyside Piazza with like the whole community painting this amazing intersection mural on the ground and playing music and talking and placemaking, it was definitely pretty empowering.
It gave me a lot more hope in terms of people working together, because it's really easy when you have had a few bad experiences with trying to get teamwork with people who are really not on the same page. It's really hard to believe that, hey, this can really work. You know, I've never seen it happen, but I'm sure that it can. So for me, seeing it happen was kind of like a revelation. Like, you guys mean that you are running this program and it worked. Like, the rebuilding center, to me, you know, if you had pitched that idea to me, I'd be like, that's a great idea, and wouldn't it be nice if we could do that? But I don't know if that's feasible. But seeing somebody really pull it off, and pull it off so successfully, was inspiring to me.
And I like the idea of like, how do you affect change, and like what matters essentially. That was pretty key for me. Like what brings happiness, what like keeps this enigma alive.
Just challenged us to be critical optimists kind of all the time, and just to not take things for face value, and even though it might be scary, to just kind of have this eyes wide open approach. That's the way he put it, and I think that that's way more difficult than kind of being in that ignorance is bliss kind of phase and taking everything for face value.
There is an ability for us to be a part of the decision-making process, even though it may not feel like that. And that was one of the things I definitely pulled from the field school, was like being involved in the community and being involved in decision-making is important and will make a difference.
In group projects in university, that you just don't trust people to do what they're supposed to do, and so it kind of makes you think that that's how everything works in life. If you want to do something, you're gonna have to make sure it gets done and get on top of people, but that's not always true. And if you like empower people, and, you know, I guess it doesn't always work out, but it's you just let it go, and everything kind of works out. So I think that resonated with me because I had thought the opposite before.
Another thing that it did was give me a sense of optimism around both the way that the urgency of things like environmental and social issues that we're dealing with, how the urgency of that is actually kind of an opportunity for experimentation and taking risks and motivating people, as opposed to just seeing it as a complete downer. And then also just the power that a small group or individuals have to, you know, maybe not impact the entire system at any given point, but to create small reverberations throughout culture and throughout a system that can affect the paradigm and change it.
After taking that field school, I just saw how there's so many ways to act, and I just don't know how to choose now. That's my new problem. I don't know how to say this. I don't know.
Sustainability.
That is the ultimate question.
I don't even think the word should be allowed.
Sustainability is not black and white. There isn't just bad things going on or good things, and there's a whole bunch in between, and there's no real answer. But whenever I have that in other classes, that there's no answer to what we're talking about, it's frustrating because you just want there to be an answer. But then when you actually get on the field school and are able to look at each specific circumstance and everything that's interacting, you understand why there has to be a variety of things going on in a variety of perspectives, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
But I feel like to say you have achieved sustainability is to say, okay, well that's it, let's all stop now. I don't think that's where we're going.
Well, with sustainability, it's now sort of a buzzword, and I think businesses like to slap it on their logo to appear that way, but it's really dependent on context, and it can mean so many different things and is framed in certain ways, and when it's framed in such a way, it creates limitations and also opportunities at the same time. So you have to just be aware of those before you go on with whatever it is you want to do.
Before I thought of it more as this end goal that could be reached. Now I question, can we really attain true sustainability, and also that it's fundamentally more a process.
Sustainability to me before was this mythical creature, and now I got to see some of sustainability practices in use, which was really cool. So now sustainability to me means more practicality, and it can be the small things that everybody can do, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be a net zero society, but it means that everybody can do better for us all to do better collectively.
Before field school, I had a very textbook answer, to provide with the needs of the present without compromising the needs of future generations. It's very dry and what is sustainability? This is sustainability. For me, it comes down to enough, and what is enough to you, and what do you, I was saying, what do you need, what do you want, what are you willing to do without for the sake of your own ethics, and what would you maybe be happier without?
I think creativity and sustainability is not something you're ever going to necessarily be taught in lecture, and so that turned out to be a huge aspect of social, environmental, and economic sustainability projects that we saw along the way, was just people being creative and creating beautiful things to make people want to join on to the sustainability movement.
There's aspects to some of the cities that were sustainable, but I feel like sustainability is never going to be achieved in the sense that you can't. I feel like you need to set goals, but you got to realize that it's just a long tunnel and you're never going to reach that light. But for me, what was a problem was what motivates these people to achieve sustainability, what matters for this.
So sustainability doesn't really mean all that much to me until I've really dug deep into what and how it's framed.
I thought maybe Victoria was just a little bubble of sustainability or environmentally friendly people or things like that. And so being on this field school made me realize that things are happening and that it's not just me and it's not just this group of 20 students. It's not just Victoria. This whole region was just filled with motivated people and intelligent people and energetic people who are kind of working towards the same things as we are.
It really boils down to just being a good human, good person, and living a truly happy life, and kind of inspiring others with your words and actions, and just trying to make that spread.
haven't done a field school, you should go.
Cool. One word about Cascadia.
Earthquakes.
Love. Beer.
Fantastic.
Delusional.
UVic field school student that did that inner heart right there.
Oh.
Was that you, Paige?
It really, really does a lot to.
So beautiful.
It's
Look.
so much nicer than
See?
the outer heart.
Well, the outer heart can be deceptive. The inner heart is the one that you can trust. You know it'll never deceive you. See that? Deceptive, trustful.